And we are live.
Very nice, man. We got a Thursday, a Friday Eve here, everybody. Welcome to the Patrick Carr Show. I love the fact that we are getting this out of the way. I say getting out of the way, but today is one of those days where I actually have to work everyone, just so people are aware. Like this, I just continue to say this because I know that many of you all message me. I have a business that is completely separate from this company. This has nothing to do with my business. I do this in a personal capacity. Only me. Anthony is over here. We work in just doing this on the side. And we do it because we genuinely enjoy trying to bring great stories like we're going to bring to you today. We got a lot of great ones for you today to sit back and enjoy, get informed, and hopefully be entertained. We do this strictly in a personal capacity. And for us, it's very important that you all understand, hey, there's going to be messages we don't get to. There's going to be things we don't say exactly right. And in the course of doing this, we will learn and we will get better for you. I assure you. Today we get a chance to jump on a little bit earlier for you. And that way we can get back to doing work that actually makes us some money around here. And so we appreciate it very much. If you're jumping on, if you're in your truck going to work, maybe you're going to a job site, you're at the office, you got the phone on, put the earbuds in, and hopefully we can entertain you here for the next 45 minutes to an hour with some great stuff that is happening across Central Florida. Anthony, I know we have a lineup of some great stories here today. First off, how are you doing over there, brother?
I'm doing good. Still waking up this morning. Got to get my energy drink after this.
Bro, did I just pop open one without even offering one to you?
It's all good, dude.
Whoa. I'm my bad. I thought you might have had one.
Nah.
I'm going first form over here. We're going with Grape Splash today because that's what the 7-Eleven had.
I was gonna say that's new. Never seen that one yet.
Yeah, I mean, drinking the first form makes me feel like I'm healthier. I mean, obviously it's not good for you, but it just makes me feel better than drinking like the regular ones.
Mm-hmm.
I think first form is like, that's the Andy Frisella deal. So I just feel like it's more the bodybuilder one. So we're doing that. Everybody, if you're wherever you're joining us from, whether it be on Instagram or YouTube, wherever you listen to us, Facebook, of course, drop comments. Anthony is over there. We will try our best to read anything that we got. We got a docket of some real interesting stories for you that are going on across Florida, but it doesn't matter where you're going to be joining us from. We got some funny ones today and some ones that you're really going to be interested in, regardless of where you live from. Anthony, what do you say we jump into this first story, though, for today? Because I think this is one that could benefit so many schools and that so many parents are going to be so happy to hear is happening across the country right now. What do you say?
Yeah, 100%.
Let's jump into it, everybody. And it's happening over at Deltona High School. If you have not heard, Deltona High School is over in Volusia County. It is one of the first schools in the country that is testing drones from Campus Guardian Angel. It's built to respond to active shooters. The school has 40 drones spread across several buildings, housed in 13 boxes with 3 drones in each box. They're placed in high traffic spots like auditoriums, cafeterias, gym, and several classrooms. There's about 1,800 students that are back on campus with these drones. Now, I want to explain to everybody how exactly this works because the footage is incredible when you see when you see Campus Guardian Angel at work. All right. When alerted, it triggers the drones to launch from mounted boxes near the ceiling. They fly to the scene and they stream live to law enforcement. The drones are flown by championship drone racing pilots, and they're working from a command center over in Austin, Texas, more than 1,000 miles away. They deploy what the company calls non-lethal distractors, flashing lights, sirens, pellet bangs, pepper spray if needed. Each drone is about the size of a Frisbee. And if the distraction fails, get this, they can ram the person at like 60 to 70 miles per hour to incapacitate them. CEO Justin Marston says most mass shootings are over in 2 minutes. The goal is cutting response time from 3 to 8 minutes down to 15 seconds. Marston got the idea watching small drones used against armed men in Ukraine and thinking about Parkland and Uvalde. Folks, I love this system. We've talked about it on the show before. I think I first saw it, I want to say like on a 60 Minutes episode, Anthony, where these drones, it looks like something like RoboCop for people that are around my age or a little bit younger. but they come out of the wall or out of the ceiling. They like pop open, and these drones go to work. They're attacking the assailant, lights, sirens, incapacitating the individual. I've seen them ram into people, or not people, but like some of the dummies that they use. Mm-hmm. This is the type of way we want to use technology. Not only are you looking to save lives, but think about the information now that's going to be available to first responders. Because when these terrible instances happen, unfortunately, they're walking into a building and have no idea what they are walking into. And so now you get a chance to put eyes on this situation. And I do not see any negative that is coming out of this. I love the fact that they just said, hey, let's go find championship drone pilots. You know, like those ones you see on ESPN when they were doing, like, they go through the course. These guys are going to be sitting there, like, ready to go. It's like you got on-call drone pilots. If something happens across the country, boom, campus guardian angel is going to go to work. Let's talk about the cost of it, because everyone, of course, Florida legislature funded the pilot program for $557,000 across 3 districts, including Volusia, Broward, and Leon counties. More funding was recently added to bring 3 more districts in. Those districts have not been announced yet. There has not been any real-world success with this drone program yet. The system went live this month for the new school year. Like I said, no documented cases of it actually stopping an active shooter, but I love the demonstrations and what I'm seeing. Obviously, for anybody who has ever been involved or knows somebody that has been involved in something like this, you know you would pay any amount of money to make sure that your family, your loved one, a friend was safer. God forbid a psycho decides that they want to go out and do something stupid like this. This, to me, is exactly what government should be investing in right now. These are the stories, despite the fact that, you know, we're negative and we harp on politics over here sometimes. I look at this and I'm like, great job, Volusia County, in acquiring this money and being the people that say, hey, we're going to spearhead this thing. And I believe that if we institute this in more and more schools, we're not even going to realize the impact that it has in terms of that kid who thinks about doing something stupid, being a psychopath, going, I know I'm going to get engaged within like 15 seconds. It's not worth it to me. There are going to be lives that could be saved with this program that are beyond just them responding to an active shooter within a school. It's the active shooter you're going to prevent that is also valuable when you're looking at what this can do across the country. This is where we need funding, Anthony. This is this is it. Counties, if you're a county commissioner, if you're a mayor, I would be looking at this and going, top priority, keep kids safe, right? Mm-hmm. Because we talk to parents here on this show. I have them that message us. Listen, there are parents that are nervous every school year, that time when you have to send kids back to public schools. It doesn't matter, private schools, you name it, across the board. You don't know what's going to happen. I remember just last year, we are close to Lake Brantley High School. Our parking lot just getting flooded, Anthony. And it got flooded with parents and SWAT and all this stuff because there was a code red, I want to say, is what it was over at Lake Brantley. Yeah. And it was like, man, people didn't know what was going on, and there was a threat. And it wakes you up real quick to, what do you do? I mean, I vividly remember being out there on our front steps looking at SWAT arrive, and they looked like they were trying to tactically understand, how do we get into this building quickly, be efficient if something is really going on that we need to get in there for. Imagine now if they had eyes on this situation immediately, were able to incapacitate the assailant. I think this is just $500,000. Let's get it done, everybody. And that's $500,000 across 3 districts. Mm-hmm. Meaning that, okay, if we're looking at $200,000 per, let's say we get it down, $150,000 a school. Mm-hmm. Who's not for this?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this seems like the biggest no-brainer that we could have in any county in Florida. I'm just going by the numbers right here, $557,000 across 3 districts. So Volusia, Broward, and Leon. So that means they got 557 across 3 schools. If we did one in Volusia, I'm sure they're in one in each other county. So that's about little less than $200,000 per school. But I bet if you did it in bulk, you get it down to about $150,000 a school. I think every parent that has half of a brain would go, let's do it. $150,000, I'll happily pay. If there's 1 cent tax that has to be added, get it to the ballot immediately and let's pay this thing. Because as soon as there is something bad that happens, we're going to be thanking the Lord for companies like Campus Guardian Angel that are out there and that are ready to go ahead and help. Yeah. Police should love this. I hope everyone is reading stories like this and saying, these are the things that government needs to be focused on for children's safety.
I couldn't agree more. And definitely, it gives that like sense of security for like the parents too, that there's, when they drop off the kids at school, that there's a little bit of safety when they get into school, because it's scary. And I can't imagine being like a parent and just having to get that phone call and just knowing for, I don't know, like how long, like that 10 minutes, 5 minutes of just waiting. It's honestly heartbreaking and terrifying. So
absolutely. And we've seen where there have been other attempts to make schools safer that have gotten mixed reviews. I'll give you an example. There was the firearms for teachers in classrooms, right? Yeah. There are people that are for that. There are people that are against it. And I can see both sides. All right.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Second Amendment guy here. I am Second Amendment through and through. I'm an absolutist in that case. I'm also an absolutist when it comes to the First Amendment. Okay. But what I do understand both sides of why people might be against it. This is one of those, I can't see why you're against it at all. If you are against this, I would love to know why. Like if we have somebody in our audience who is very much against a drone program inside of our schools, give me some viable reason about why you're not into this, because on the surface, I'm just going to think you're a psychopath. If you're not, give me the reason why you believe the drone program like this that can help save lives is not a good use of government money at approximately $150,000 per school, when we've seen the waste, fraud, and abuse that governments have had locally in Central Florida. This seems like a no-brainer to me, Anthony.
Yeah. One kind of thing that I kind of thought about in my head while we were talking about this was I'm kind of curious, does like schools, do they act like, can police access their security cameras when like an active shooter is going on, like during that point? Or is it like something where it's like they have no idea, no eyes on the school? Because that's something that I feel like they could probably implement, and it probably wouldn't be too much, where it's like every school or every public school, it goes straight into like the police department, and then they can have access to what's going on in case there's an active shooter. Be like, okay, I know he's going to be in this room or this classroom, so we can have all of our deputies surround that area, or something like that.
So if I understand what you're saying, it's kind of be like having a Ring camera system throughout the entire school, and then there's an emergency, like OPD has their facility, the tech facility, I don't know what you want to call it. I can't remember what it's called, but they have the facility where they're monitoring their drones and everything that they monitor. So then immediate feed would go there from the Ring camera type system, so that where they could watch it, right? I think it's a great idea. I'd be very interested to know if anyone in the audience has any idea, especially OPD, police officers, retired police. I know a lot of you watch the show. If you have any idea about that, me and Anthony would love to know. Are there systems in place in public schools in Central Florida that sheriff's office, police officers that are close by can access those systems so that we can get eyes on an assailant? Or what I'm scared to think is that we have such outdated systems in our schools that probably the cameras are not accessible by police, firefighters, you name it, first responders across the board. If you are a officer out there on duty, if you're retired, or if you just have knowledge of this one right here, drop us a comment. Can police access cameras inside of schools in the case of an emergency? Would that be something that gets activated, or is that even possible in our school systems right now? Seems like that would be a no-brainer, bro.
100%.
Like, just go get a Ring cam. Basically, we're stringing together a Ring camera system and saying you have giving somebody access to it. I mean, if you can do that on your phone through an app, again, this would be very sensible stuff, in my opinion, to do right here. But I'm sure that there are some people who would be against that. That one might have some people that are against it for privacy reasons. I get that one. I would be for it because I would understand the safety implications of this thing. But I'm sure that one might be a privacy issue that some people might be thinking about. I'm for it. But interesting question right there. Do police actually have access? All right, Anthony, what do you say we move on to story number 2? This is local again right here. If you have not heard, Brandon McLeod, an 18-year-old, was arrested just yesterday by the Orlando Police Fugitive Task Force in connection with the deadly shooting of a 4-year-old in the Stella West Apartments near Silver Star Road on July the 17th. Unfortunately, the child was rushed to the hospital and passed away. Police say McLeod was handling a gun in a careless manner at the time of the shooting. Just a terrible, terrible situation right here. I want to talk about what I believe is important in this case and give you some facts about where that it is right now. McLeod faces a manslaughter, not a murder charge. Manslaughter in Florida is a second-degree felony with a maximum sentence of 15 years. Now, here's the key, everybody. When a firearm is involved, it can be reclassified as a first-degree felony with a maximum of 30 years. I want to say this. A couple of things jump out to me about this case, Anthony. Number one, he is assigned to be in court today. Number two, I sent you the information on that docket before the podcast. Number two, he is an 18-year-old, meaning he is going to be under state attorney Monique Worrell's office is going to be the one doing the prosecution here. We have seen time and time again where Monique Worrell has gone into a case and used the Youth Offender Act in order to lessen the sentences of people that I feel should be behind bars for a longer period of time. This gentleman is 18 years old. And when I look at this case and I think about carelessly holding a firearm, the death of a young child, what I am concerned about is that 15 to 30 turns to 6 when Monique Worrell's office gets this and decides once again that youth offender is going to apply, and we get some stupid leniency that gets added onto this, and once again, Orange County will show that it is soft on crime. I am putting this out there right now because I don't want to see this happen. I understand that there is there are young people out there that make mistakes. But there have to be consequences for the mistakes that you make. We're talking about someone's life being taken. And I've talked about the sentencing. I've talked about on this, and I'm learning on this program as I do it more and more with you all, how the relationship between someone like an OPD and the prosecution office works. OPD has done their job. The person is arrested. The charges are there. Now it is up to Monique Worrell's office what they do with those charges. Are they going to keep them? Or in a couple of weeks, where they will have an opportunity to tell us what they're going to do in another case, usually 2 to 4 weeks from right now, will they go ahead and signal that, hey, we're going to go, it's not going to be manslaughter. We're going to drop this thing down. I don't like that. I hate it, in fact. And I think this is my personal opinion about this, Anthony, that many offices, including Monique Worrell's, continue to do this because it increases the conviction rate that they have and appears on paper to look like they are doing a good job. But when you actually dive into the cases like this one, what would be a disservice to the public is when you say, well, he's young, made a mistake, let's make it 4 years instead of 15 or instead of 30. At some point, we have to say, you have to be accountable for your actions when somebody loses their life. Is that at 18? Is that at 19? What are we going to say, everyone? I think a very clear 18 years old. Fine, if it's 18. I'm tired. I don't like this Youthful Offender Act. I think it needs boundaries that go beyond things like where someone loses their life. I can see it where there might be something like a felony for a DUI. Maybe it's somebody that gets into a fight in downtown Orlando. These are things that I can understand. When someone loses their life by the carelessness of another person, I don't believe by 22, the individual should be out walking the street and is moving on with their life. I don't believe that. Now, you can disagree with me on that. You can say that the person deserves a second chance, and that's fine. I believe they deserve that second chance at 35 to 40 years old, not when they just get out 4 years later and their life just moves on. And you can say, well, their life doesn't move on, Patrick, because, they've got everything they've got to do. I'm talking about according to the law. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And for me, these cases, they worry me because we have a district attorney who, in my opinion, is very lenient when it comes to sentencing and the guidelines that they press forward with prosecution, and constantly uses the fact that judges are the ones that hand down the sentence. But we have to understand that the pressure, that comes to that judge, the actual what they're asking for is coming from the prosecutor on the case. And if the prosecutor is tough on the crime and wants a tougher sentence, they're going to get it. But if they institute this Youth Offender Act, which the maximum sentence, I believe, is 6 years. Anthony, if you could research that. Youth Offender, Florida, maximum sentence. Let's make sure about this just for our audience. I believe it is 6 years it would be.
Yep, 6 years.
So, okay, the cap is 6 years. Thank you. Total in prison, probation, or both. All right. This is exactly the case where all eyes should be on Monique Worrell's office. What are we going to do in order to fix Orange County, in order to fix Orlando? This is Orlando, everybody. I want to fix Orlando. When we talk about solving problems in Orlando, it is law and order that will solve the problems. It's not just the fights that everyone puts, Anthony, and they send to me online. It's not that. It is cases like this that make the difference. So if we want to fix Orlando violence, it's not just the violence in the streets. It's violence like this where people lose their lives, that people have to pay a penalty, price, and be held accountable. That price should be greater than 4 years or 6 years behind bars. That is my opinion. And if somebody disagrees with me, I'm happy to hear that. And I understand the perspective, Anthony. They're young. They deserve a second chance. I got it. Can't we separate, though, the second chance from somebody getting into a bar fight and somebody firing someone using a firearm carelessly and killing another person? Can't we separate those two things before we make a blanket policy that can be instituted by our district attorney and just used whenever they decide they want to use it? I think we have to have guardrails in place for this, and I don't see those guardrails myself right now. That is what frustrates me.
I will kind of push back on this.
Push back on it, though.
So I think we can't differentiate the bar fight with that. I think we have to differentiate how, like, each case is different. I feel like with this one, it looks to me from what I've been seeing, where it looks like it's a kid probably just like playing around with the gun, and then the gun goes off, and then it looks probably a younger brother, younger sister, and shot that person. So it looks like it was just like a careless act. Wasn't something that happened with intent, which I think is a big play here, in my opinion, for that youth offender, which there was no intent, which I don't think that guy wanted to do that. I don't think he would have wanted to kill this person. It was just a complete accident, which I can see at a young age. He's just probably being stupid, being like, oh, look, I have this. And I can see where that Youth Offender Act could play into this. If this guy had a criminal record, was going back in juvie, doing all this stuff and doing all this crazy stuff, and he killed someone with intent and did all this stuff, yes, I could see throw away that Youth Offender Act. But I think in this case, at least from what I'm seeing on the surface level, which I think every case is going to be different.
Sure.
I think this one could play more with that Youth Offender Act as far as he didn't have the intent. I think it was just an accident, and I can see where you're careless and dumb and you had a stupid thing that happened, and I feel bad for him because I don't think he really meant to do this, and it was just a horrible accident.
So I understand correctly, intent is what you're looking at here. Is that right, Anthony?
Yes.
So intent matters to you on this?
Yeah.
Okay. I can understand your perspective, and I think a lot of people would share your perspective on this, all right? And everything that I can read, I believe that you have a valid point that there's no intent here for maliciousness, all right? I don't believe that at all. But one of the things you said there, and I want to just let's me and you have this dialogue for everybody. You said the kid, right?
Yeah.
That's where me and you have a difference of opinion, right? I look at this and I say the adult, because you're 18 years old. You made a choice to handle a firearm incorrectly, and you cost somebody their life. To me, I look at this and I go, at some point, We have to look at the world and go, you are now accountable for your actions fully. And is that point 18? Is it 22? Mm-hmm. Is it 26? At what point do we say to somebody, we are going to have a standard here in our society that you are now an adult and you make careless choices, you're going to have consequences for those careless choices. And if what we're seeing here is true, which we don't know all the details, I'm going by simply what we hear from the OPD and what Fox 35 is reporting. When I look at this and I hear careless manner, discharged, death, mm-hmm. I don't like the youth offender side here when I see the death side, okay? Because for me, I look at this and I go, all right, that person's not coming back, right? The ultimate price has been paid for your choices and decisions. And I'll be lying to you if I didn't say that I also look at what message it sends. Mm-hmm. And what are we saying to people who make bad choices where lives are lost? Another example would be this. Let's say a 18-year-old gets behind the wheel. Mm-hmm. They're driving under the influence and they hit and kill somebody. They didn't intend to do that, but they made a choice to do it. That person made a choice from what we can see based on the facts we have now. I'm always open to changing based on new information. Carelessly handle a firearm as an adult, and that costs somebody their life. Just as somebody makes a choice to get behind a wheel and makes a choice to drive under the influence, if that costs somebody their life. Mm-hmm. As an adult, you made a choice and a life was lost. I believe if we're going to look at something like this Youth Offender Act, better way to look at this is let's put guardrails on this, because I don't want people that I believe are lenient on crime, like Monique Worrell's office, to have the opportunity to implement youth offender, because I don't want that in this case. This is what I want. Now, who cares what I want, right? I mean, people are like, who gives what you want, Pat? Well, you know what? It's my show, and it says it on the bottom of the screen or something like that. And so I feel it important to express what I believe should be more common sense here. That's my opinion. Yeah. I understand your perspective as well, though, on this one, brother.
I look at it also the same way, too. It's like, do you remember when you were 17 and 18? There's no difference. It blends in. It's one age and then one age. It's literally the same. You're still that stupid kid, 17 and 18. You're still that same. So I think it's hard. Like if that 18-year-old was literally, let's say if he turned 18 that month and a month before he was 17, would that be a big difference from how that case handled? If it seems like it would be, if like, so I feel like there's a hard thing with that where.
Yeah. So I completely understand your perspective. Like you're saying, and I remember back when I was 17, 18, I couldn't tell you the difference in how I acted when I turned 18. Mm-hmm. Like I turned from 17 to 18. I was the same exact person as a senior in high school over in Tampa. All right. Yeah. Like I was just stupid with a lot of acne. All right. And I understand that. I think that when I look at the law and how we apply it, I think it's very important to not allow as much, to reduce the amount of gray area as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Because I think there has to be standards. And for me, you have to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
And now other people would say, no, you don't, Patrick. That's why we have youthful offender, so that we have the prosecution can use discretion into how they apply the law. Mm-hmm. I can see that side as well. I differ from that. I think when you give people discretion, oftentimes they will abuse it, and they will have their own personal experiences that enter into how they apply the law. I'm more of an absolutist. I believe let's have a standard and let's stick to that standard. Mm-hmm. But I see the other side of it too, where you could say what you're talking about. I can see why we need a gray area right there where the prosecution can make their own choice and maybe can be more lenient if they choose to be more lenient. I'm just not that way of thinking. I don't think that people normally will make the best decision, because normally they're going to be clouded by their own personal experience. I think that we have seen that with Monique Worrell's office in the past with some of the leniency that she has shown. And I think that what we're seeing is that people, a lot like me, there's a lot of us out there that look at a case like this and go, oh, well, it's going to Monique Worrell's office. This is just going to be another case of somebody getting off in the next 3 to 4 years. He'll be back out almost by the time he's not even a teenager anymore. And people say, well, Patrick, that's not counting. I mean, this guy is probably feeling terrible and, all the stuff. I'm not saying all that. We're applying only to the law and what I think is going to happen. And the message that I believe it sends to others in Orange County, others in Orlando about what is acceptable. And for the average person who sees a headline like that, think about the headline. West, to 9, they run some headline on this that say, I don't know, sentencing to 4 years for death in 4-year-old. It ain't a good headline.
Yeah.
And that when a lot of people see that, it sends the wrong message to individuals who are young that go, huh? They're not going to read the article and look at why they got that. And this, to me, standards matter. I can understand your perspective, though. I'll give you the last word on this one before we go to the next story.
No, I think it's definitely think it's like kind of a gray area. I don't think there's a black and white. I think there's always a middle ground of like it depends on every case, in my opinion, where it's like every case is going to be different and you can't standardize and be like, oh, okay, this case is cut and dry with this. You got to look at every case and see every evidence and everything that's going on with each one.
Fair enough. Me and Anthony disagreeing, but I understand your perspective, brother. I think a lot of people will share in that perspective as they watch the show here today. Let's do a little bit of a lighter topic to kind of jump in. We're going to go back and forth here today. Anthony, would you come with me to a steakhouse if me and you were not wearing clothes? I mean, that's a transition for you right there. I know that might sound a little bit crazy to ask, but there might be some people down in South Florida that are asking that exact question. Come up next Monday, the Class Soiree Steakhouse, and that is in Hollywood, Florida, is holding a clothing-free dining experience on the first Monday of every month. It ran this past Monday, August the 3rd, and that is why everybody has been talking about this week. Chef and owner Murad Ali created the concept to attract new businesses and generate some buzz, and says there's a market for it, everyone. Now, if you want to go to this event, you can, everyone. Tickets run $250 for men. So if a guy just wants to show up in the nude, you're paying $250 to walk through that door. There's only 20 spots that are available. So, man, get in there quick, bro. You want to go sit down at your table and have yourself a nice steak and, do your thing? You can do it. Ladies, don't worry. It's only $150 for you. And couples, if you want to come together, you're only looking at $300 if you want to come in there and enjoy a nice steak with some other people and do it more natural. The restaurant, like I said, it'll seat 20 people on nude nights. Okay, here's the rules, everybody. No one under 18 is admitted. There's no touching another person without consent. So with consent, it's fine, Anthony. All right. Each diner gets a robe, a soft towel, and a seat cover. The servers stay fully clothed and have been trained to be respectful. Guests disrobe in the restroom next to the restaurant's 14-seat communal table. Oh, this just gets better and better. I didn't read the whole story. Hostess Toshiba Hart says she greets guests nude herself so people feel comfortable walking in, and describes it as a gathering to meet new people in the lifestyle. Is it legal? That's the question. And the answer is yes. City officials in Hollywood say the monthly clothing optional diners are legal. It is private, ticketed. It's an adult-only event. It is a much different category than something like public nudity. Ali, the owner, he told Axios that as a restaurateur, he's trying to deal with a rough environment. And he said, quote, "We have to be remarkable, and remarkable means people are talking." It's worked. The story has been picked up by Fox, by CBS, Local 10, UPI, The Independent, Our Show. all in the past 72 hours for a restaurant that seats 20 people.
Man, you can have your meat out and eat some meat.
Come on, even way really?
Yeah.
You've just been holding that one in.
Oh yeah,
That was good. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Have the real tomahawk here tonight. I'm not talking about the steak.
Oh my God. You can make so many jokes at this. Like,
I mean, I love the best. I mean, honestly, for me, it's the communal table. All right.
Oh yeah.
So let me I don't want to
dive into
the story here. Okay. So here's what I'm seeing. All right. I'm going to try to take this one and approach like what I think about it. All right. First of all, this Ali guy who's the owner is absolutely right. We are in a market, everyone, where attention is the ROI. No matter what business you're in, if you're in a restaurant or you're in a dry cleaner, you run a gym for a living, you're in some kind of roofing, HVAC, it doesn't matter, health insurance. You have to find a way to get attention onto your business. We talk about it all the time here with what we do in my separate business over with BCMG. We talk about that attention is the ROI. And what they are looking at is, how do I get eyeballs onto my restaurant, which I saw some pictures of it. I think you may have seen it. Is it like looks like it's in a strip mall?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. I saw some like pictures of it on the article that I read. It did look like it was at a strip mall. I mean, if you're trying to run a steakhouse in a strip mall, trying to get eyeballs onto your restaurant that people will come there and actually want to try your food has got to be extremely difficult to do. You probably have a limited marketing budget. And hey, man, if you're sitting there and you got to make payroll, you got rent in that space that you got to make, go for it, bro. Yeah. Go make it happen. I mean, that's small business here. I'm not hating on the guy. It's completely legal. It's a ticketed event. It's open for adults only. You walk in, you got to pay. The communal table, very awkward, I think. I think that separate tables would have been just fine. But let's be very frank about who they are, who they're marketing towards. These are for people that are in the lifestyle. All right. Now, we have had on this show, we've had the owner of Secrets, and we've had their crew over here. We have no problem with the lifestyle because it's consenting adults doing what they want to do. And I like that. I believe in the freedoms of this country, and I believe that consenting adults should be able to do what they want if they're not hurting other people. And that, to me, is good. You're an adult. Do what you want to do. Now, don't involve kids, but you're an adult. And so I'm looking at this like, hey, if adults want to go do that and they want to sit at a communal table and they feel like that's a lifestyle they want to be a part of, not for me, not going to be what I do, not going to be the steak I want to try. But I have to imagine that if nothing else, even if he's not selling out that Monday, I bet what he is doing is generating enough buzz to bring people into his restaurant who support the fact that a small business owner is doing everything that he can to save his small business. So, I mean, like, for all of you who think, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Before we laugh at the guy, I want all of you to think, do you ever put your heart and soul into something? Like, your small business that it means the world to you. Maybe it's your relationship, or maybe it's fixing up a car. All of us have a passion in our life that we've given everything we have at one point. And for many small business owners, they understand that. And when you see that, you may be on your last leg. And this Ali guy is like, you know what? I've given everything I got to my restaurant, so the heck with it. I am going to do everything I can to save it for my family. I don't know what this guy's going through, or he could just be a marketer trying to get attention. But for everyone who thinks, I would never do something like that, let me tell you, if you put 10 years of your heart and soul into a business and you're 1 week away from losing it, you'll do anything, because it becomes a part of your character and who you are. And because you care so deeply about employees, or you care so deeply about the customers and the service you provide. And I don't know this guy. People may think that I'm taking a little bit of a different approach, but I am saying, before you judge the marketing scheme, understand that we're in a competitive environment where attention is the ROI. And this guy is doing everything he can to save his business. And I applaud someone who thinks outside the box, does something legally, is unapologetic about it. I don't have any problem with it, man.
Yeah. And honestly, it's kind of a fun concept, just
You going down there with your girl?
I don't think so.
No, you don't think she's going to go for that?
No.
Does she ever watch the show?
I think so.
Oh, you think so? She don't watch.
She got to work.
She's got to work. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think that I won't be going down there, and we're in South Florida. I won't be there, but I
imagine.
What are you gonna do?
Well, I was gonna say, imagine because you're talking about roofers. Imagine the nude roofing and
what other businesses could we take to this level?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the one I think could be, if you were gonna talk about let's talk about this. Top 3 businesses. I'm doing this in real time with you. Ready?
Okay.
Top 3 businesses where nude could work. I'm gonna give you one I think that would work.
Okay.
Gyms. I bet there are people that would go to the gym where people are nude. I bet it would happen. Would I? No. But there'd be a lot of dudes showing up that some lady they want to see show up or something there. I'm telling you, I bet it would work.
Mm-hmm.
Let me rephrase. It would not freaking work. But I'm saying that somebody would try it.
Yeah.
And I think it would be legal because you'd have memberships and the person could only you could control access. And if you're able to do it for a restaurant, no doubt you'd be able to do it for the gym.
Yeah.
And I'd be lying to you, bro, if I haven't thought what would I look like in that mirror without any, I've been in the gym mirror, okay, I feel like I'm looking decent today. What would I look like if the twigs and berries what would I look like, all natural out here?
Yeah.
What would it, I mean, what would I look like? I don't know. How would I look doing that press? How would I look doing that squat? I mean, these are honest questions that I ask myself. So gym, I would say. So gym, okay. Definitely gym. You got to be closed in. Restaurant we just saw right there. I mean, automatically I go to gentlemen's clubs, but those exist, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because women walking around and dancing nude, things like that.
Coffee shop, maybe?
Coffee shop would be it. You could definitely do that. It's because it's got to be closed in. So gym, coffee shop. What else would be a possible place that they could implement a nude day? A resort. Well, yeah. I mean, a resort. A resort could do it if they did a ticketed event. But I guess you'd have to close the resort down for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if resort could do it because it'd have to be closed in. So you'd have everyone staying there would have to be part of it.
Well, they kind of have secrets, which is kind of similar.
What about I don't know. I think the crowd would be there for it. What about an EDM show?
Ooh.
Like a club.
Yeah.
You could do an EDM show, a ticketed club event. I mean, can't you see it?
I mean, see it, yeah.
Dancing around, people jumping up and down.
Oh my gosh.
Neon paint is everywhere. Yeah. I mean, just bass is hidden. I mean, everybody hands up.
God.
Yeah, I'm going to go with those 3. I'm going to go gym, what do we say, coffee,
yeah,
and EDM show. There you go. We already see that it's happening with a restaurant, everybody. All right, well, now let's go back to some serious stuff. All right, Anthony?
All right.
No more. Oh, God, there's so many good jokes. So many good ones to get out of that story. We want to turn our attention, though, now to a case that we haven't talked about on this show for a while. But if you live in Central Florida, and honestly, if you care about animals, this is one that you definitely remember us discussing probably about 3 months ago, Anthony, now.
Yeah.
We are talking about Sloth World. We have not had this in the news for a while, so let's talk about some of the updates because some of you have been asking about it. Here's what's going to upset you. I just want to get everybody ready. For those of you who remember Sloth World, no one has been arrested. No one has been charged. No one's paid for it yet. All right, Sloth World was here in Orlando. The total death of 55 sloths in connection with the attraction that never opened on International Drive. The FWC says 21 sloths died in December of 2024 after an electrical breaker tripped, cutting power to the space heaters in the facility were not properly prepared. 2 more arrived dead in February of 2025 in a shipment, and 8 others arrived sick and later died. 13 survivors went to the Central Florida Zoo in critical condition. They were dehydrated, malnourished, and underweight. 5 of those 13 died. The Florida Wildlife Commission announced it found no evidence of neglect or abuse that would support criminal charges. A finding Representative Anna Escamani, who has been on the show, called unacceptable, saying if this were a pet store for dogs or cats, arrests would have already been made. But Florida Wildlife Control Commission is not the last word. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says its separate investigation is almost complete, with the report expected in the next several weeks. Attorney General James Uthmeyer is working with Orange and Osceola State Attorney Monique Worrell to determine whether criminal charges can be filed against the owners, and a statewide prosecutor is assisting the Ninth Circuit. The owner is Ben Agresta. He has refused to answer questions from News 6 and others. The company has since filed for bankruptcy. This, for me, we've gone through the details of this case. I think they're going to have a very difficult time with the criminal side. I think they're going to have a difficult time with the civil side because they didn't find anything at the actual facility. Let me rephrase because people will get on to me. There was limited evidence of abuse at the facility. Not saying that the animals didn't show sign of it, but at the facility itself, there was a limited evidence of abuse. Mm-hmm. And so what these guys are able to claim is basic ignorance, stupidity, and happenstance of something like a circuit breaker. I think that this doesn't pass the smell test, and everybody who looks at this case knows there's something wrong here. Now it's a matter of what can you prove. That is where I believe there's going to be a problem and why we haven't seen the arrest yet. I have to imagine that Orange County is taking their time here because they know that the case is going to probably have national implications because people are going to look at these helpless animals and they're going to go, somebody needs to pay for this. And they want to make sure they have their I's dotted and T's crossed before they move forward. I have to believe that is the case here. Each death does hold up to 5 years in prison for each death of animal cruelty, up to. It would be very surprising if that was going to be the case here. For those of you who are not familiar, there is a new law in Florida called Dexter's Law. It allows for a 1.25 multiplier on each case when there is animal cruelty. The only thing I will tell you about that is it does not apply to this case because when they made the law, they carved out 2 exemptions, which were for farm animals, animals used for work, and animals used for entertainment. So like a Sea World or Busch Gardens, or in this case, Sloth World, are carved out of Dexter's Law. It was designed specifically for residential homeowners, say, abusing an animal there. Yeah. So they were able to add on a multiplier onto that. I really believe that this is one of those cases where justice, I don't think, is going to be served, Anthony. Yeah. Not because it's not deserved or warranted, but rather because I don't believe they're going to be able to find and tag and pin the evidence on this guy. And that to me is very unfortunate. And I hate it. But I think that we're seeing them take such a long time because they know that it's, one, they need to be thorough, but 2, the case criminally, I think, is going to be weak on this one.
I agree. It's hard because I don't think that there will be charges coming from it, but I'm hopeful that this makes changes in the future for, like, maybe there's like a new law or bill that passes that goes through where cases like this will get more punishment and more, like, instead of with the I know like the whole animal thing gets a little hard with like at least setting arrest and stuff. That makes sense.
They are. These cases are difficult because you have to find the cruelty itself. And it's my understanding, and I'm willing to be corrected here if I'm wrong, that one of the difficult parts of this case was when investigators showed up, the cruelty was not evident at the time. Things had been fixed. They knew things were going to happen. In other words, let's say the AC, heater, whatever it is turned on at that point. Now, the effects of the potential abuse that people are referring to had already taken place, but they're not seeing it when they arrive. So their hands are tied based on what they find. And you have to look at the evidence of these cases, which is different than a person. And so I want people to understand that I want there to be accountability. This makes one of the cases where I believe that the law needs to catch up with the offense. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a special place down below for the people like this. And I hope that we are able to see criminal charges filed. I think based on the prosecution, about the chances that I think that's going to happen. But I wanted to give everyone an update. It's nothing that we've forgotten about. It's a popular topic because people are very interested to see what happens. If you've ever held a sloth, it is about the most helpless animal that you can imagine, the cutest little thing. And so people are very invested in this, as they should be. I don't want to live in a society where people don't genuinely care about animals, Anthony.
Yeah.
Especially animals like this. For all my dog and cat lovers, all of us. There are so many of us that want to see this person pay the penalty if they are guilty. Listen, innocent until proven guilty. I was talking to somebody over at OPD just a couple of days ago, and they reminded me of that in some of the cases that we've been covering, which I've been upset about, that people are innocent until proven guilty. And I look at it this way, though. I think this guy, he's out. He's on, I don't think this guy should be behind prison right now while we wait for this. Okay. Let me be very clear. But I'll tell you, some people, I just don't want them to see the light of day until a judge says so. I want them to stay in jail. And yeah, folks, I've heard everyone talk to me about, oh, you don't know the difference between jail and prison. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I use words that I'm not exactly the best wordsmith about. But I think that people should sit in jail sometimes based on the offense. I believe that. Let them go see a judge, and that means that they're in jail for a week, and why they wait, I can understand that for these serious offenses that happen. In this case right here, I understand this is a different case, but I don't see anything happening here, man. Yeah. Maybe some slap on the wrist, like you can't own animals in Orange County for a couple of years, or I don't know, he loses a business license opportunity. I don't think this is going to, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think something's going to happen, but I hope that there's a law that passes after this that makes it.
Be a great sloth law, something like that. Sloth world law. I don't know, something like that. There should be animal protections. I've said for a long time that laws regarding animal cruelty are far too lenient.
Yeah.
Far too lenient. When I see those pictures of animals that have been starved, those people, there's no use for them. Like, these are bad people. And anyone who looks at that person and says, oh, they can be rehabilitated. No, they can't. No, I disagree completely. Because I look at that person, there's something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. They are mentally bad people. There are bad people, and they are a bad person, in my opinion. There's no redeeming it. There's no, they're going to go to therapy and learn, oh, look, you shouldn't have starved a dog. Listen, you're not right up here. And I look at this, and I want people to understand, when you follow my show, yeah, I'm going to have different opinions with some of you, but there are certain things that there is no back and forth or gray area for me. Someone who could every day get up, think about the sicko in that individual, Anthony. They get up every day and look out what their sliding glass window, having their coffee to an animal that is starving. Yeah. And they go, I'm just going to go to work today while they bake in the sun. And they don't think about it. Mm-hmm. No, there's no therapy. There's no leniency. There's nothing for that kind of individual. That is the worst of our society right there. Mm-hmm. We need stiffer federal penalties for people who involve in animal cruelty. Awful, awful individuals who do stuff like that. I wish we were going to see stiffer penalties here, but I love your outlook that I hope we get more out of this case right here, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. It's a good way to look at it. Moving on to our next story. I want to talk about what's going on in Central Florida because, hold on. After you do the thing right here. I want to talk about this, Anthony, because I don't know if anyone knows, but we got a mayoral election right around the corner in Orange County. Live show, everybody. Sorry if you're in your car. Got to listen to that crap. News 6. They did a story, and they compared the salaries of teachers in Orange County against the average one-bedroom apartment near schools across Central Florida. It was not just Orange County. It expanded across Seminole, Osceola, Lake, Volusia, Brevard, Flagler, Marion, and Sumter counties. Can I speak? So let me repeat that again. I just got it out, I think, finally, everybody. It spanned across Orange, Seminole, Osceola, Lake, Volusia, Brevard, Flagler, Marion, and Sumter counties. Here's what we looked at. Per the National Education Association, Florida ranks 50th among all states for the average teacher pay. 2025-2026 average $56,663. That's up 3.3% from the prior year, but roughly $18,000 below the national average. Boy, adjusted for inflation, average salaries have trailed inflation by more than 12% over the last decade. Here's the interesting thing that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, Anthony. Everyone thinks that it's low. The problem is that teachers are not sticking around, okay? Starting pay for a teacher. We are looking at, sorry, we got somebody here. Might have somebody here. Sorry, everybody. We got a live show. I think we might have someone here. You want to grab that, Anthony?
Yeah.
Because it might be for us. For those of you not aware, we have the office that we run right here. We run this show completely separately from what we do here. So sometimes we have people that will come to the door, different things. We do lock our doors around here. So I'm doing a live show and just working right here for this. Hold on, everybody. We are in a live show and we are doing some work right now. We're going to be right back. We're going to tell you for station identification. Let me help them out here because we got somebody out here in the lobby. Let me help some people out. Be right back, everybody.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good.
All right.
So the number of people that are in the building,
Yeah.
I do not know that. I'm sorry, I just have this place right here. So
Okay. Which suite are you?
I'm just this building. I don't know if you want to call that.
They're giving me a suite 1100.
I don't know if any of these have numbers, to be very frank with you.
Are they more down there?
I would not know where that is. So do you want to? Sorry. Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm on the call right now.
You're not there.
So,
You're not there.
No, I don't. I'm not them, but
You're not there.
yeah, I don't know where I would direct you on that one.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Then you're very welcome. All right. All right. Sorry, everybody. We're back. It's like, what? So you want to get where we zoomed in or we focused in on that?
Oh yeah.
All right, we're back. All right. I was thinking that might be for us, Anthony.
I thought so too.
I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Process server too. I was like, I don't know,
Process server for somebody else. We know that. We'll leave that alone for right now. All right. Okay, everybody. We're talking about teacher pay, and so I want to get back to what we're talking about here. Teacher pay. The problem is that people are not sticking around. Starting pay is actually decent inside of Central Florida, around $49,435. It ranks 19th nationally. That gap between 19th at the starting pay and 50th overall, what does it mean? It means people are not sticking around once they begin their teaching career in Florida. All right. So I want everyone to understand that we have a problem in this county. We have a problem in Central Florida not just with pay, but it's with teachers staying in this county, in Florida, in Central Florida, and progressing their career forward. And I think that what often happens is we look at first responders, pay for EMT, police, teachers, these positions that everyone believes should make more money. I agree with that. But we also have to look at why are we the dead last? Why are we dead last in the country? Because people are not staying in Florida, and as educators become further, as educators further their career, they're leaving. That's a question that we have to begin asking ourselves is why are we not keeping good educators in the state of Florida? And more specifically, why are we not keeping them in Central Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, Anthony?
No, yeah. And yeah, I definitely think that the teaching medium just needs to go up a little bit here in Florida. Because I mean, teachers do a lot. And
listen, everyone, I agree. Here's where let's because nobody ever wants to talk about this. Everybody always wants to go with the talking points. And you see this from Democrats, liberals, you see it from all the conservatives, everybody. Let's talk brass tacks, because everyone believes there's not a person who's in their right mind who says teachers don't deserve more money. Got it. Okay. We all agree on that. Now, what do we do from there?
Yeah.
Okay. If we all agree they are owed more money, then that money has to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a tax base that comes into a county, and then that county is able to disperse that tax base, and they're able to either give the raises that the teacher unions want. They're not able to meet them. They negotiate, and they move on from there. Here's my opinion about how you begin to fix this problem. You've got to get more money to be able to pay the teachers, because when you have a larger pool of money in order to pay them, then things get better for them, right? And we're able to keep more people that are going to be here, even if the environment is not what they want. We can talk about that. But let's talk about initially how we solve the problem. In order to do that, you need higher property values so you get more on the taxable income, more taxes that come in off those property values. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
In order to do that, what do we need?
Better jobs.
Better jobs, which in turn can purchase higher property values and can afford them. And then you need more building from the private industry who are for profit and can make money that way. And you need to make sure they can quickly build without the red tape and bureaucracy of Orange County. And that's what's happening in Orange. And there's some other places that have different problems. But the problem to always, or the way to solve this problem is, bit my tongue. The way to solve this problem is not like affordable housing. It's not saying teachers aren't making enough. They need more affordable housing. That's only part of the solution. You have to be willing to do and in order to pay them more, we need to reduce cost of government by cutting unnecessary positions. You cut unnecessary positions, thus freeing up money for people like teachers and firefighters and the police. You become more efficient in your business. The government should be looked at as a business. Therefore, you give money to people that are deserving of it. People, well, what do you mean, Pat? Where would you start making cuts? Let me tell you what. You go down and you find what every employee is doing. I promise you, everybody, does everyone think that the DMV is working as efficiently as it can? No one does. Does everyone believe the clerk of court office is working as efficiently as what it could, or could we do just as much and we could cut maybe a third of the people? Does anyone think that? Of course, every one of us believe that exact thing, because we all, if you've been in a small business, you've seen people get cut recently, and you've seen the business survive because everybody adapts. Everybody will make changes, and they will become more efficient if you force them to do so. The problem is that the government in a lot of these Central Florida counties has not been forced to make cuts in a long time, and nobody wants to be the one to step in there and go, if I'm elected, people are going to lose their jobs. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I want teachers to make more money. Oh, and by the way, I want to grow every other part of the government. And by the way, I don't know where the taxes are going to come from, so we're just going to keep on taxing the rich, and that's going to be a really nice talking point, but it doesn't work for local governments. You must be willing to address tough issues, which are, where are we going to build? What are we going to build in these areas? And then how do we offer affordable housing around all of these properties so that we can have places where people can start and then they can move up? And the only way to do that is with high-paying jobs in the private industry. Like, these are real things that mayors and commissioners should be talking about. But what happens, Anthony, is when they begin to run for office, like we saw that word salad that they all throw out there in the mayoral debate just 2 nights ago, citizens lose because tough decisions are not discussed, and candidates don't want to lose votes, so they won't say what really needs to happen. Meanwhile, every citizen looks at it and goes, really? A $9 billion budget that we need for Orange County? Did it really need to go up from 8.3 to 9 billion? Did we really need that? Do we think that maybe Orlando could get by on a 1.6 billion, or could we cut some of the fat in Orlando and use that extra 200 million from 1.8 down to 1.6 by cutting cost to be able to go towards police, firefighters, teachers, the people that need the raises right now? Yeah, I think we could. I think we could use technology better. I think we can become more efficient overnight. I think you could go to departments like so many small businesses have had to do and go, you know what? You're working with 15, you got 12 now. Boom. I just saved $180,000 a year. It's like that scene out of Yellowstone. You know what I'm talking? You know, John Dutton walks in there as governor and he walks around the table and he's like, who are all these? You're fired.
Yeah.
How much money did I just save the taxpayers of Montana? Well, I think she says like around $1 million, something like that, in salary and benefits. Great. It's a good day for Montana. I mean, you put me, that would be my administration immediately, is let's give me every department right now, department leaders right now, everybody, everyone sit down one at a time. How many people you got? 42? You do your job with 35? I think so. You got 35. We just cut 7. Boom. Next person. Cut. Now do your job. Let's go.
That's why I liked a lot of Myra's responses that night, because she was talking about, for one, visit Orlando. That's a lot. And then she was talking about, like, let's group all the things and just have it all in one salary pool and then cut from the top and go from there.
Great idea, Myra. Mm-hmm. Like, and I appreciated that about her, Anthony. You know, me and you spoke on that night. We've spoken since that she was the only one that said, yeah, cuts will need to be made. Now, the other person was Chris Messina. Mm-hmm. The problem is where he said cuts, he said it in the wrong place. Yeah. Because he was asked specifically about links, and he said links would need to be cut. And when you are somebody that relies on the bus system, that makes you nervous, brother. Yeah. People who are writing links don't want to hear that stuff, right? Even if what's going on in Seminole County, when the system he said is working, you have to be cognizant of how people are going to receive your message. Yeah. But I do believe that what you're going to see a lot of, and I don't know, like Tony Ortiz that has entered the race for mayor. He entered a while back for Orlando mayor, but he had his launch party just a couple of nights ago on Wednesday, or on Tuesday. Yeah. I'm going to try to get him on the show. But Anna Escamani, you're going to hear it from, Congressman Frost. All of these people want a lot of services for everybody. Everybody wants everyone to make more money. Everyone wants somebody to have a nice house. These are all really awesome things. And everybody wants everything, okay? But you have to pay for it. And tough decisions have to be made when budgets have to be made. And what I look at is who is going to be willing to make those tough decisions, and who's going to be willing to sit in front of people and go, yep, I fired 100 people, lost their jobs today. It wasn't an easy decision, but I did it because it's necessary. When you run a small business, you have to do things like that. And what we have learned over and over again, Anthony, is that our government has been unwilling to do that because they don't want to hurt what they consider to be disenfranchised. And I'm telling you, if you work for the government, if I was ever elected into office and I decide that's a route that I want to go, I promise you people around you will lose their jobs, because we will force government to be more efficient with what they have, like every small business has had to do, just like Myra said in the debate on Tuesday. Every small business has had to do it. Why is our government continuing to grow while small businesses are forced to do more with less?
Yeah, I definitely think at least a lot of these mayors, they got to look at running the county, the government, like how you run your own salary, your own way of living. Because for me, when I got laid off at the beginning of the year, the first thing I did was, well, for one, look for new jobs. But second thing I did was like cancel every subscription I had, monthly things, to cut down, like Netflix, all this stuff, to cut down so I wasn't wasting money. Because it's like, I want it, I like it, but I don't need it right now, because I got to save money, I got to conserve, because I don't have the money coming in. So I'm going to save as much money as I can and do that.
Yeah. And I want to say this about you. For those of you who don't know how Anthony operates, this guy works his off. All right. And for those of you who want to understand, like, how do you make something of yourself in this world? You have the work ethic that this man has. I was just looking to start the show. We've only been doing this about 4 months. And Anthony walked through the door and he found it. He found me, wanted a job, was like, I'm ready to work. Let's go. All right. And he took a chance on me and I took a chance on him, and it worked itself out because the man has initiative. All right. That is what it takes to be successful in this world. And one of the things you just said, though, Anthony, that I'll push back on my end is, unfortunately, a lot of these career politicians, they don't run it like a small business because their salary doesn't depend on their performance.
Yeah.
Right. If I don't run my small business well, then I don't have a small business. Right. We've said from the beginning, the money is not the goal that we have here. We don't make any kind of money to survive a day. All right. Me and you, like, that's it. Like $2 here, $3 here. Like, this is completely separate. However, though, my business, if I don't run that effectively, I will lose that. And I don't have a salary then that I can pull from. It doesn't magically come from a budget. And, one of the things that Myra mentioned in the debate that I really appreciated about her was zero budgeting. All right. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it means you start every year by having to justify your costs for the year. And when you do that, you don't carry things over from the year before and just say, well, we did it last year, we're going to do it this year. It also means you don't carry over the surpluses. It means you can't just rely on what you did last year in order to foster in success for the next year. So what you begin to do is you make cuts right at the beginning because you look at things brand new every single year and decide what is necessary and what's not. She's the only one that made that suggestion that I can see. Yeah. So I wanted to point this out because we all agree that the numbers are not acceptable, and we need people who are going to be in elected positions who will speak the truth. Stop listening to these individuals who just paint this utopian world where everything is, I'm going to bite my tongue so many times, the utopian world where everything is given to you. That doesn't exist. And people are smarter than that. And it may sound wonderful. Like I've been listening to this stuff, and I'm going to say it right now. Democrat after Democrat is running right now. Oh, we need health care for everybody. It's a human right. Cool. All right. If you believe that, now break down the numbers for me. Break them down. And what will happen is that over time, the numbers don't make sense and the quality of care gets reduced. It's a great thought that an individual has, and nobody can disagree with it. But it's often the things that nobody can disagree with that haven't been passed that when you look at it, you go, there's a reason. There's a reason it doesn't work. And we're in a place right now. I want everyone to understand when you see all these Dems out there, and I'm not saying ours, Dems, I don't care, anybody talking about these rights that people have. I'm talking about the money right now that teachers don't have. Where's the money going to come from? The money's got to come from somewhere, everyone. And it's not coming from the tourist development tax. So we can stop using that as well. Everyone's just going to keep taking from this tourist development taxes. That's not even allowed to be used. So if what we're going to do is we're going to build affordable housing, if what we're going to do is that's our plan, well, that means that we're not going to get more taxes that are going to come in. If what we're going to do is hire more people, then that means there's going to be more people in government and we're going to have the same exact pool of money. You must be able to look at this and go, yes, we all want those things, but let the grownups in the room take the reins of this thing and say, we're not going to get everything that we want. And I know that you want that from your government, but it's not going to happen. And you as a citizen now are going to have to start to put your boots on and get out there and make something happen for yourself. And when we facilitate environments like that, where personal accountability is number one and not handouts from the government or empty promises about what comes next, you begin to get a society where people hold each other accountable to a higher standard and more people win. But that doesn't start with weak leadership. What that starts with is strong leaders making tough decisions and then standing behind those decisions. Now, Anthony, I'll give a real world example of this one right here. My tongue is going to be gone. Okay. I bit it so many, now I'm like, ugh. But a real world example of this in our small business that I have, you've seen me over with a small business over there. When we make mistakes, you have to say, I was wrong. Me. Just this morning, we made a mistake, and there's a client I care deeply about, and it cost us some money because the mistake was ours. And you saw Russell came in, and we made a mistake. And now I have to eat that money. Not the government. Not some budget, not some spreadsheet somewhere. Me, my company, my account. I'm responsible for. That company loses, right? And so for me, that is where there's a difference, Anthony, in how our government looks at a budget and how we as citizens are forced to look at it. And you may not like when you have to have that spoonful of medicine and it tastes like crap going down, but you'll like the effects of it afterwards. And as a government, what we've begun to do in Central Florida is say, nope, let's not give the medicine because it tastes bad. We'll deal with all the effects of feeling sick. And what we try to do instead of taking the medicine is just put a bunch of Band-Aids, proverbially, on all the problems, instead of saying, if we just do this, it'll be painful for a little bit, but then we can stop putting all the Band-Aids all over everything. Well, yeah, let's do that. Well, if I do that, then people aren't going to like me. That's the problem. Yeah. We got a bunch of politicians who want to be liked. And in the course of liking or wanting to be liked, they're weak. People who want to be liked all the time, they're weak people. They are. And I'm watching the races right now, Anthony, and everybody who watches them is like me. They're disappointed because what they see is just a bunch of people who are out there making promises that they know they're not going to be able to keep. And nobody's standing up and going, we got problems right now, like teachers, like budgets. And what am I going to realistically do to try to solve those problems? And I would appreciate it if somebody would stand up, Anthony, and go, I don't think I can. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to have a budget surplus. We're going to have a budget deficit. And because of that, unfortunately, people are going to have to lose their jobs. Where is that person? We need them. I want them. Mm-hmm. All right. Got a last few stories here. We're going to get through these. And this one right here, Anthony, is relevant to Orlando because everybody remembers I'm going to be talking about Hamburger Mary's here. This goes back to 2023. The legislator passed SB 1438, the Protection of Children Act. It threatens fines, loss of operating license, and criminal penalties against venues that expose any child to lewd performances, even with parental consent. It defines an adult live performance as a live show depicting or simulating nudity, something conduct, something excitement, or lewd conduct, including lewd exposure of such and such and such and such. I think we can get it without me going into it. Penalties includes fine, suspension, or loss of licenses, $5,000 for a first violation, $10,000 for later ones. There was a challenge from Hamburger Mary's, a popular Orlando location, which hosted drag shows, including family-friendly performances with children invited. They sued, claiming the law violated free speech and the law was too vague. U.S. District Judge Gregory Presnell granted an injunction blocking the enforcement of SB 1438. He said, and what he said was, let's see here, he confirmed the injunction in 2025, but he did say that a court needed to review it. Well, they have. On Tuesday, the full 11th Circuit ruled 8-5 that Hamburger Mary's had not shown it was likely to win its First and 14th Amendment challenge. The court vacated the injunction entirely and sent the case back to district court. So the law can now be enforced while the lawsuit continues. So the injunction has ended. The majority wrote that the Florida Supreme Court's definition of lewd eliminates any overbreadth. Judge Robin Rosenbaum dissented in 27 pages, saying the law wields a, quote, Titanic-sized iceberg of chilling power, end quote, against speech. The case is not over. It heads back to trial court in Orlando, and Hamburger Mary's can seek further review. So nothing was struck down and nothing is final, but the injunction has been lifted as of this week, so enforcement is now possible for SB 1438, Protection of Children Act. Whew. Okay, there's a lot to get through here. I want to give you my opinion about this. So I have never been to a Hamburger Mary's show. All right. I don't know what would be what is it called? A child-friendly show would be. I don't know that. But on the surface, when I look at this, I believe that we have something where the government may be getting involved where they don't need to get involved. I look at this as a parent issue, not a government issue. Anthony, I think you're going to agree with me on this one. I think you may, I don't know, because we agree on the parents here and the accountability for parents for their children. I believe that when parents make a choice for their child, that is their choice, with exceptions that I think we all would be very clear about, like things that are unreversible. I understand there is that. Where they take them, the shows they allow them to watch, the TV channels they allow them to watch. Now we're getting into a line where the government is doing the parenting instead of the parent themselves. I normally I want parents to have the power. And again, let's be very clear. There are certain things where I don't believe that a child should be allowed to do that are irreversible. We can get into those a different time. Folks, I think you understand what I'm talking about here, right? We're talking about the choice to bring somebody to a restaurant and to a show. We're talking about, should they be allowed to do that? This, to me, that's the only thing that is under question right here. If Hamburger Mary's wants to do something for adults, they are consenting adults, just like we talked about with the steakhouse in South Florida. Consenting adults can do whatever they would like to do that doesn't harm other people. They want to go to an event like that, more power to them. Hey, make your money, go live your life, love it. Okay, cool. And we can say that the only thing that really here is in question is going to be, should children be allowed to go to the show or not, even if it is a children's safe, like a whatever it might be. They say that there's a children's show that's children friendly. All right. When I see that, what it tells me is that means there's a show that's not children's friendly, everybody. If they have to do one that is, it means there's one that's not, by definition. Yeah. So when I look at that, I think to myself, either way on this, I believe that we may have a parental issue more than a government issue. Now, it gets a little bit gray here, because then you could go into things like a steakhouse close here. Should a parent be able to take a young kid into one of those, right? If you're going to say one is parents and the other one, you've got to be able to apply the law across the board. All right. This right here is one that I would ask people, where do you stand on it? I've never been to one of these shows. I don't know what they're like. I've always thought it's kind of a weird concept. Are they serving hamburgers while they do it? Like, it's just like a cheeseburger, like diner. Mm-hmm. I don't understand the concept. Not saying it doesn't work. Obviously, Hamburger Mary's in Orlando has been an iconic place. It's been very progressive. I think that goes without saying. And when I see this, I wonder, okay, now what? So the enforcement can be stepped up. Is Hamburger Mary's even around anymore?
I don't know. The one in downtown is even.
Yeah. So I may be talking about a moot point, but we are talking about the law itself with the Protection of Children Act. This is, again, Anthony, this is where I would need to know more information. I wanted to bring the case forward because I thought that a lot of people would have some feelings about this one. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I am also smart enough to know that I'm ignorant to a degree on this, and giving an opinion until I know all the facts would probably be disingenuous to the audience. I want to make sure that what I'm saying here is true. All right, brother?
Yeah. And I agree with your point where it's definitely up to the parents how, if you want to take your kid here, if you don't want to take your kid here, it's definitely up to the parents. And I'm looking at it. I'm looking at some of the pictures from it, and you know what? Yes, it does do like show a little explicit with some things, but it's like nothing like nude, but it's nothing like that. But it's more of like just the outfits. But at the same time, I was thinking about it. I was like, I remember being like 8 years old and go to Hooters. I'm like, there's nothing against Hooters. I'm like, I feel like it's the same thing where it's.
I think you are about to get some pushback on that,
I don't know.
Bro.
Think about it.
I'm thinking about it. I think you're about to get some real pushback on that one, comparing those two things together. Let's everyone fast forward to this point. That's Anthony, not me. Now you can get jumped in the comment section on that one.
I don't know. Okay, hear me out.
Let's work through this one. Okay, work through this one.
Burgers. They're both at restaurants. They both have those outfits. Can be outfits. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Have you been to a show?
I haven't.
Okay, so we both have it. All right.
Yeah.
I think that
I'm just looking at it from the service level, so I don't know. But
okay, so here's what I think people would say, and I don't know because we both haven't been. it's probably not the outfits, but rather the show and the acts that are happening at the show that people would be concerned about children being a part of, right?
Yeah.
It'd kind of be like if you had the Hooters restaurant and the girls were doing things in the outfits like twerking on the table, all right? Now, I don't know if that happens at Hamburger Mary's or what their show entails for adults or what the show entails for children, like kid-friendly. I don't know. So the point of me bringing this up is not yet to have an opinion on Hamburger Mary's because Anthony is going to go to the show and he's going to report back to us. Kidding, everybody. But what we do want to say is we now have the enforcement of the law. It will be interesting to see, if not at Hamburger Mary's, but somewhere else, how this law is applied. What I would ask is, do we believe this is an overreach when it comes to government? Should we be letting parents make this decision? Or I think a lot of people out there would probably say, you know what? Parents are making crappy decisions. So this is one of the ones where I like the fact that the government is getting involved. I don't know. I don't have enough facts yet on this one, bro. I wanted to just, this is about bringing a new thing. The injunction has been lifted as of the last 48 hours. And that's what I want to make our audience aware of.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know about this until like 2 minutes ago when you're talking about it. So
yeah.
I don't know.
This is an interesting one. You know, Hamburger Mary's is an iconic restaurant from Orlando, and they were the ones that spearheaded this entire thing. I remember the case back in 2023 when I think it was 2023 when it all went down and started this whole thing up. And it's still going on right now. The battle is still being faced. The injunction's been lifted. Now they're going to have to go and see what they're going to do in local court system right here.
So is just because I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Hamburger Mary just like a regular restaurant, but they just do drag for their
I don't know the answer to that. I know that they used to be right there on Church Street.
Yeah.
And I always kind of looked at them as like a diner. Okay. And then I looked at it kind of like a show that they put on at times. Mm-hmm. Like you'd go for like a dinner show or something. Yeah. And I always thought that was kind of the case where like on a Friday night, you would go there and maybe they have two shows, like a 7 and a 9. I don't know the answer to that. I never went. Mm-hmm. I just always thought it was kind of I never knew what to expect going in there. So I didn't want to walk into a show that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't want to go in there for a 4 o'clock lunch to check it out. And then all of a sudden I'm involved in a show that I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. So I think that I just stuck away from it in my 20s and early 30s. And again, I haven't been on Church Street in so long because there's no reason to go there except for the steakhouse that I don't know.
It looks like from what it sounds like, it looks like Hamburger Mary's moved up to what's it, Kissimmee?
Kissimmee?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
well, we've only got a few more minutes here, brother. We've been going a while here, so I want to make sure we get to these last couple stories because the next one, man, boy, did I ever get eat up. Ooh. Man, did I ever get eat up in the comments section the last few days? Flock cameras. I mean, I think that flock cameras are up there with data centers, bro. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got to admit, like people are passionate about flock cameras.
I think they're passionate, but I think there's still a mix. I think there's 50-50.
You think it's 50-50?
Or maybe 60-40.
I think go ahead.
But for data centers, for sure, I think it's 90-10. I think you're on that 10.
I'm on the 10% when it comes to data. Again, yeah. I'm only, we're going to jump in that for a different time. But I want to talk about this story because I did a couple of videos this week where I taught. In fact, we did a full breakdown on Tuesday. On Tuesday we did a full breakdown of the flock camera systems, what they are, why I support them, and we also explored the other side of why other individuals don't support flock cameras. I looked at both sides. And oftentimes in things like this where we are nuanced, we have to understand there's truth on both sides, and those have to be weighed by individuals. Those individuals are often the ones that we elect into positions. Cool. I feel differently perhaps than what you do. Maybe you or an audience member that flock cameras provide an overall positive benefit to society more than the negative benefits of, let's say, a Fourth Amendment violation. That doesn't mean I'm an evil person or that you're an evil person. It just means we have a difference of opinion in weighing the negatives versus the positives of a piece of technology. Now, I want to be fair to the audience, Anthony, because I support flock cameras. I want to look at the other side of why people don't support them and report both sides so that people can make up their mind for themselves. This is coming out of a recent story. Brandy Almani, 40 years old, a Sumter County Sheriff's detective, was arrested just a couple of weeks ago after an internal audit found she ran 47 flock searches between April and July, all targeting her husband's ex-wife's plate to track her movement. She allegedly created false case numbers to make it look legitimate. She admitted that it was improper and was charged with official misconduct plus 3 counts of offenses against computer uses. She was fired, and the sheriff ordered a full database audit and temporarily suspended the flock use. Okay, so I want to be fair, and I appreciate this about people, that even though I support this technology, I can see why other people don't support it because of the misuse and abuse of people in power, like potentially, allegedly, Brandy Almani and 40-year-old Sumter County Sheriff Detective did use and misuse and abuse the flock camera system. We as this, folks, I don't want anyone to think I don't see the other side. I see it. Cool. Now here, let's start talking about solutions like adults. You cannot be that individual who goes at things and goes, oh my gosh, no, look, I showed you, look, it's bad, it's always bad. Calm down. Treat the problem like an adult and say, okay, we see that there's a problem, but there's also a benefit to the technology. We actually talked about the case over in Polk County from earlier this week where they found a gentleman who was obviously who had a warrant for missing. He had a warrant, a felony warrant. I want to make sure, I don't know if it's a felony warrant. I want to be clear about this. He had a warrant. They engaged with the individual. He attempted to grab a firearm, a ram to hurt an officer. He rammed an officer's car, and unfortunately his life had to be taken, but they did the right thing. That person was on the streets, but thanks to these license plate readers, flock cameras, it's just like Kleenex, folks. It's just like a brand. That's all it is. These ADRs, LPRs, license plate readers, help solve and find a criminal that was on the street. And there are countless cases where this has been the case here, okay? Polk County and every county has been helped by license plate readers that are out there. And there are people that abuse the technology. So what do? Because we want to focus on solutions, not getting so far into our corner where we go, oh, bad, you're terrible, you're awful. What you do is you at the state level, you say we're going to put in minimums for people who abuse this power so that this person right here gets a 10-year minimum behind bars. Well, that's very harsh, Patrick. Yes, it is. Because I want to make sure that I understand and empathize with my people who believe a Fourth Amendment violation is possible with the flock cameras. So even though I agree that they're a great technology, I want to put things in place that will make sure that individuals who choose to abuse that technology are held accountable to the highest standard. If you are trusted with this kind of technology and this kind of access, we need to make sure that you do time behind bars. You don't just lose your job and get a little slap on the wrist and I don't know, maybe you go to a different department. That is not what we want to see. In society, and what I want people to understand from this show is, wouldn't it be nice if we could say both things can be true at once? We can be against a Fourth Amendment overreach by the government, but then we can also recognize that the technology works and is solving crimes. So what we can do is put federal or state minimums into place to make sure the people who abuse that technology are held accountable. That, in my opinion, is how society should work. It's how small businesses work, and it's how solutions are found. Come on, people. Let's go. This makes sense to me right here. But I wanted to be fair, Anthony, and say, I see where people are coming from, and another side of that can be true at the same time. Let's find out where the middle ground is here. If somebody's willing to compromise, I am.
No, honestly, I'm fully on your side on this one. I agree, because I think there's a lot more benefits that weigh out the negatives. And yeah, there's going to be negatives. There's going to be negatives to everything, but I think there's a lot more positives that we'll see coming out of these flock cameras. And
maybe if we stop calling them flock, because I think people have got that name in their head. LPRs, license plate readers.
Yeah.
I don't care. There's like a bunch of different brands that you could go with, folks. It's like going out and finding a camera. I mean, you could go with Canon, you could go with Sony, you could go with Fuji. You can go with a bunch of different ones. All right. But flock is just the one that everyone knows because it's been like the Coca-Cola. Like, it's the brand that people recognize when it comes to cola. That's the brand that people talk about when it comes to license plate readers. So we can stop with it's flock, flock, flock. You're actually talking about license plate readers that read a license plate or a part of the vehicle and they put it into a database, and then they decide based on the database that the camera is provided to look against if that person should be flagged.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it's doing, is running that information against the database that's provided. Now, I understand the abuses. We just talked about the alleged abuse from the individual down there. So we as a society and as people, instead of going to your corner and saying, bad, 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 why don't you say there's good technology? Let's put guardrails into place to try to protect us as citizens to minimize a Fourth Amendment violation. That's what adults do, everyone. You must be willing to do that. And that doesn't mean by the way, I hate when people say this. I'm paid by Flock cameras. Like what? Flock cameras cares about me to pay me a check? Like, yeah, under the table, they're like, here's 10 grand, Pat, to do a video about Flock. Give me a break. Get a life. All right. I want to do the last story right here. We run out of camera battery.
Let me
We
check.
good? The last story is going to be this one for the day right now, everybody. I loved having a long show with you all today. Anthony and I love this. We're good?
26.
All right, man. So let's do this as the last story of the day because I know I got to get to work. I'll walk over to the other and get to work here. This was an interesting one here, very local, and it just went down, but it actually went down a couple of weeks ago in Hillsborough County. They approved the dress code changes prohibiting students from wearing leggings or spandex unless worn by with an undergarment or covered by clothing extending at least mid-thigh, such as an oversized t-shirt or sweatshirt. All right, let's tell you what happened here, everybody. We had a case where the school board in Hillsborough County said that people can't wear these leggings, like people see at the gym. That's what they were really talking about. They were talking about these spandex leggings that people were wearing, going to school with them. Hillsborough County came out and said, nah, we ain't going to do that. Hillsborough County got a lot of pushback from it. And parents came forward, students came forward and said, no, these should be part of our dress code, and you need to reinstate the old dress code policy. And the reversal happened this week. On August the 4th, the board voted 5-1 to reverse and go back to last year's dress code. Board members who flipped cited consistency concerns and the appearance of targeting female students. Vice Chair Nadia Combs said her inbox was suddenly flooded with hundreds of emails adding, quote, "You're creating an issue where there is no issue to be found." Patty Rendon cast a lone vote for no, noting boys also wear spandex shorts and pants. And I guess that she does not want to see that happen. So here's what happens in the end. Over in Hillsborough County, last year's dress code will stay in effect. Girls and boys, I guess that's the thing now, are going to be allowed to wear the spandex and leggings without having it be covered by something that goes to the mid-thigh. I think what they were trying to do here, Anthony, is very clear. I think that for anybody who has seen, there are certain leggings that are out there that women wear that are thin, the fabric is. And I think what they were trying to say is there had been complaints or maybe there'd been distractions over in the Hillsborough County school system. Maybe some girls were wearing some stuff that was a little too stretched out for their bodies. And therefore things were visible that shouldn't be visible. And they were trying to put a policy into place that prevented that. Okay. I see both sides here again.
Yeah.
I know you're happy they reversed this one though, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think what they're trying to do to school is do a good thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's just up to the parents with how the kids should dress and what they should be wearing. And they didn't have dress codes in the 80s, 70s, 90s, any of that. So it just became this new thing where it's like, we have to make sure that we're having appropriate clothing for our kids and all this. It feels weird where I think it's up to the parents and how the kids should be dressed. And
so I think that a lot of people obviously share your opinion. It's why they got, I think it was 3,000 signatures on change.org from parents who said they wanted this old dress code back. And I think there were definitely people who were using the dress code correctly, probably just wearing them Lululemon leggings and they were wearing them to school with some sandals and a t-shirt. Cool. Like anything though, I think what they were trying to address are people that were abusing the policy because let's just say I'm assuming that there was something in Tampa because one person voted no against it and cited men wearing the spandex. If that was worn and it was only spandex that was worn, is that something we want to see in the school system? Because when we institute policies, we have to think about the people that are going to abuse them, right? And I think that that's what they were aiming to go for. It didn't sit as well with parents and I think and students as what they thought it was going to. Probably because so many women, I'm just going to go women. Most men are not wearing spandex and leggings. So let me just talk generally here. Spandex and leggings, I think they got a lot more pushback than what they expected because it's such a big part of the outfits for a typical high schooler that's out there right now.
Yeah.
But the policy was meant to prevent people from wearing spandex. It's very clear. Let me be very clear. I can make an inference right here and say what it's for, which is somebody is wearing small spandex and it's very big. That means the spandex gets expanded and what happens? Becomes thinner. And then things are visible that nobody wants to see. So I guess in this case, we're going to have to take, or not me, Hillsborough students are going to have to take the good with the bad. I am sure now students will be forced to continue to look at some things they probably don't want to look at. And I have to assume that's why this was ever suggested in the first place. And I can't imagine that, I guess there's going to be men in the spandex now. I don't know. But whatever the old law was or whatever the old dress code was is back into effect for this school year over in Hillsborough County. Spandex and leggings, wear them away, Hillsborough County students. So there we go, everybody. We are so happy we got a chance. That's a lot of the stories that are going on. We tried to jump through everything, Anthony. We had a little extra time today, and I wanted to have a show where we didn't just talk about politics. I know we've been talking about that a lot lately. We've got some elections coming up here on August the 18th. And some great stuff that we've been talking about there and some candidates, and we're trying to get some more in next week to be able to bring you some information. But listen, this show is more than just politics. We want to try to bring you some news that is going on and some opinions that you perhaps haven't thought about. And hopefully we can be a place where people can come from all sides of the aisle, express their ideas, and know that we understand the truth is somewhere in the middle. And we'll try to bring you our honest assessment. And we hope that you do the same for us and show us some grace, because sometimes Patrick can surely be an idiot over here. But I do my best for y'all. Anthony, we got anything else before we sign off for the day?
No, I think that's about it.
Heck yeah. Well, everybody, have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a very good day. We will see you tomorrow. Here, we've got a very special guest. All right. Y'all wait for tomorrow. Great guest tomorrow. Going to be right here. I think he's here at 9:30. What do we got on the schedule?
Don't know.
Let me take a look. I think it's 9:30 tomorrow.
Yeah.
9?
9.
Woo! Mrs. Zogat's going to be here, everybody. The real estate powerhouse himself, all right? He will be here in studio. We're going to be talking about everything that has to deal with real estate, how he's approached marketing, built videos that are generating millions of views for this guy across the country. He's an amazing marketer, great person, awesome on camera. We get so much great information from him. And then we're going to be on site tomorrow over at the Draft Academy in the afternoon. Looking forward to that on-site visit to talk about what's going on over there. Folks, we will see you tomorrow here on the Patrick Carr Show. Have a great rest of your Thursday.